All right, welcome in. Welcome back to the BFR podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name is Dave, cover the Bears for SM, joined by my good friend, co-host, Chicago Bears content creator, Ficky. We're recapping the Bears-Vikings Monday night game. Right now, there's about 5.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We're going to kind of watch along, finish that up as we record this post-game pod. The Bears are currently on the 17-yard line. Caleb Williams almost threw a touchdown, but it was dropped by Roma Dunze. So,
oh my
there's
God.
that
So many
3rd and 10.
drops. So many drops, bro. You know, it's crazy. This game was either it's three things happen. It never did all three things work together. But it was either when Caleb had time, a wide receiver got open, he misses the throw. Saw that a couple times.
Yeah.
Caleb doesn't have time, throws it to a wide receiver that's open, they drop it. And then the third option, which we saw multiple times today, Caleb has no time and then just gets fucking killed back there. So this offense
been
awful.
Karan Amagaji. I hope they leave his ass in Minnesota. And then Caleb again just had a throw to the right corner of the end zone to Keenan Allen. That was just, it wasn't even close, man. I praised it early on in the season and even midway through when he had that stretch where I understand him wanting to take care of the ball, mitigate risk. But it's like at some point you got to give the guy a chance. Like you can't be afraid to throw interceptions. And it's similar to like Aaron Rodgers where he was just so scared of, turning the ball over and he wanted to protect his stats that he would throw it out of bounds. And that's simply what he's doing, Caleb Williams, when he throws it 15 feet, 10 feet above someone's
especially
head.
when you're down this much. Like it's not like it's a close game where every possession matters. Dude, just let it rip. All right, let's see what he does here.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
So now the Bears are only going to lose by what?
16
14 possibly?
They could lose by, well, they'll probably go for 2 here. But what's your thoughts on, because we talked about this last week, but bringing back Keenan Allen? I know he had a couple drops today. He also had some crazy catches. Bring him back, yes or no?
For the right price. The problem is that he's going to want to get paid. He's at the very end of his career. I know he said he would like to stay in Chicago. Laughingly said that, asked DJ Moore asked him what he was going to do. And he said that he wanted to be back. And I think he does, but I think at the end of the day, money talks, right? And so he wants to get one last payday. Ryan Poles.
Yep.
Did they just take the touchdown away?
Oh,
no, 12 men on the field. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean, at this rate, bro, I'm like...
Again, for those watching or listening on the pod after, we are finishing up the final 5 minutes of this game. So if we interrupt, say something along those lines, just know we're just watching the game. We want to start a little bit early on this late Monday night, kind of get some questions in. So in the chat, whether it's on X, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, go ahead and leave some questions. We'll go ahead and get them starred, and we'll go through those as the show goes on. Also, be sure to leave a voicemail here on the screen on YouTube. Again, on X, you can leave a voicemail. It's super easy. Hit the record button on your iPhone. Talk to it, whatever you want to say, and it'll send it in to us, and we'll go ahead and get that played. If not tonight, by next show for sure.
If you get them in quick, I'll get them on the show. We have a good amount in here already, but go to the link below, which is speakpipe.com/the BFR podcast. And you can, like Dave said, just leave a voicemail and talk about this fantastic showing of this dominant Bears team all season.
Hey, here we go. 2-point conversion.
Let's see what we got.
Caleb drops back. No call.
No. Wasn't a great ball either, to be honest, but
I have to see it again.
It looks like he threw it behind him from the first angle, but I'll need to see a replay on it.
That's a good ball, dude.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad ball at all. Never mind.
It is, I don't even know if you can call it pass interference. It's decent coverage. It's a little contact.
That's just pretty good.
I will say the refs have, when they hold their whistle, it's been with Chicago. I know it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, this game was over. The Bears were not going to win it, but they were very consistently against the Bears today.
They had you're only down 13-3 going into the half. You should have had a touchdown instead of 3. Like, to be fair, going into the third, Like if you're coming out of halftime and halfway through the third, you're only down one possession, that's a winnable game. But yet this team, like they just find ways.
Well,
not that any of us thought they were going to win. That's different. But you actually having a chance to win, like they were still in it mid-third. Like we as fans all knew that they weren't going to win it. But it's just kind of funny how this team just, like I tweeted about it, but like bad teams find ways to lose. They find ways to shoot themselves in the foot. They find a bunch of different, it doesn't matter what it is, so many different reasons. You could list off a billion excuses. They find ways to lose. And the good teams, great teams are on the other side, right? They have tons, like, look at the Lions. The Lions have half of their roster, I feel like, injured, right? Now, they have a lot more talent than the Bears, don't get me wrong, but like they still find ways to win. They've only lost 2 games, and it seems like every game they lose like another pivotal piece on their team. Like Monty's not out for the season, so obviously they'll affect them in the playoffs. But I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. I feel bad for Detroit. Oh yeah, Detroit. Their playoff hopes are. I think they're done. I don't even know if they're going to win the division.
Well, not if Minnesota keeps playing well. I think. Do they play Minnesota one more time? I'm gonna look it up. I don't know what the last.
I think Green Bay has a shot to make a run. They're gonna have to obviously win out and get some help. But Minnesota, obviously playing Chicago helps. But the other 2 teams also get to play Chicago one more time. So
guess what, Dave? The last game of the season is Minnesota and Lions. So that literally might be for the NFC North.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the Lions have us next. That's a win. They have the 49ers, but I still think they can beat them. The 49ers aren't that good right now. And then they have the Vikings. And then I'm just interested to see what the Vikings look like, to see who has the easier strength schedule here. So I wouldn't say that was easy for the Lions, but the Vikings have the Seahawks. I mean, they could lose to them, but probably won't. Then they have the Packers, and then they have the Lions. So both teams have a pretty tough schedule to finish it off. So it might come down to that final game, which would be electric. And then Packers, I don't think can win the division because they have too many losses. Where they have 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they'd have to.
I don't think they're mathematically out. They have to get some help.
So they play the Saints, then the Vikings, then the Bears. So their schedule's definitely the easiest. They would need to win out, but they can beat the Saints. They'll beat us. And if they beat the Vikings, they have a chance. But yeah, this NFC North is absurd. And we knew that from the jump, but it's just kind of funny how we thought we would have been one of the ones up there. Not obviously like with the Lions, and no one thought the Vikings, but you thought we'd have been up there fighting for like, double-digit wins, like at least 9. Vegas had us at 7, and we're about to finish the season with 4. 4. If you were to, Dave, we went back to last season. If I would have proposed a hypothesis and said this team was going to lose or win half the amount of games of the season prior with the roster that we had, you would have said you're an idiot. I would have said I'm an idiot.
Well, dude, we won 7 or 8 games last year.
7.
Yeah, we won 7 games last year. Yeah, to regress like this, the Bears, they're not going to win another game. They're just not.
No, there's no way. There's absolutely.
They're going to finish with 4 wins. The only issue here that I really am excited about is the Tankathon website.
Of course.
The
problem is we didn't.
Which I've gotten very familiar for the last few years. We didn't, but we're still in the top 10.
Yeah,
we're going to be at 4-10, tied with the Jets. I think is a little help. I think they can get to top 5. They're not going to inside the 5 though, if that makes sense. Like the highest they can get to realistically is going to be that 5th overall pick. So, which kind of sucks because man, it would be nice to kind of land on that.
Well,
number 1.
If we landed up there, we'd probably just
at least make history. If you're going to suck.
Yeah, but I feel like we'd trade back, right?
Most of those need that'd be nice. This team well, yeah. What I'm saying here is they would need that haul because this roster is actually farther than I think any of us expected. Or it's just severely bad coaching. Either way, it's just not ideal because the Bears have not gotten it right with the coach or the head coach, at least for the last 4 years. You could say maybe, or not 4 years, 4 head coaches. Matt Nagy was the best out of the last 4. So went Fox, Trestman, and then of course Flus here recently. So it's just either way, we're kind of screwed here. You're hoping the Bears get the draft picks right. You're going to hope they get the head coach right. It's just all of these things they have not proven to be able to get right, which is just, it's disheartening. As a fan, we've been here so many times, it just sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. It really does suck. Like, I feel bad for everyone watching the show. Obviously, ourselves who have to put so much time and effort into this team. It's not a good feeling. But I think you made a good comment, which maybe we were blinded by it going into the offseason. Obviously, you don't know going into the offseason. A lot of that's projection, right? But we talked about this team has the skill, right? They've got the players, right? And then we were like, okay, it is coaching. But now I feel like more and more I'm like, well, I mean, yes, it was coaching. That's why he's gone. But maybe the talent gap is not as close as what we thought. But then I go back and forth because I'm like, this is the same team, right? That went on that the NFC North gauntlet and played like they could compete with any of them. But then, like the past 3 games, you look and you're like, I guess it's 2 at this point, right? You look and you go, who is this team? Like ever since the firing, right? And obviously there's some downfall with that, like firing mid-season. That's why you don't see a lot of interim coaches like take their team to the playoffs. I think there's only been one in the history. And obviously it wasn't going to be this team happening that was going to do that because we were already eliminated. But yeah, it's just interesting. I tweeted that like I'm out on Ryan Poles. And why I say that isn't for anything else that he's done except the most important part of the team, especially now that you have a quarterback, and that's their offensive line. I'm not blaming Karan Amagaji for not being good because he was drafted as a project. We knew he was a project.
Why are you drafting a project in the 3rd round?
Look,
come on,
that's a different discussion, but that's what he was, right? So
yeah.
That's where it's at. The problem is with this team is that every person that Ryan Poles has brought in or drafted minus one, has been below average. No, -2. I'll say 2. Tevin Jenkins, right, gets injured, but he didn't draft him, so you can't tie that to Poles. Anybody at the center position, you can list off the names, garbage. Guard positions, Matt Pryor might be his best right guard so far, and that's like a backup to backup to backup. Darnell Wright, I think, has been pretty good. He had one bad play today, but like overall, he's been at least average. So I'm okay with that. And then Braxton Jones, I would say that's a hit because of the value which you got him. He's a 5th rounder, and he's at least serviceable. But everything else has been basically miss after miss after miss after miss with Ryan Poles. And that is what you're a former offensive lineman. So now, even if you weren't, right, just looking at the people you've brought in, it's hard for me now to go into the next offseason and feel confident. It doesn't mean that he couldn't get it right, but it's hard for me to look at all the data you've brought in and for me to feel confident that you're going to get it right for Caleb Williams. Now, maybe he would because that's the main focus. I think it's understood like that has to be addressed, but I don't know. I mean, we have no depth. A lot of I can't do anything about injuries, but like no depth, and then the top of the talent isn't there, specifically interior. I don't know. I'm just like maybe you need to start fresh. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I keep going back and forth on it because I mean, you know how I feel, Dave, and I know you feel the same. There's a lot that he has done well, but that one part that's been so
there's a lot that he's also not done well. You know, it's devil's advocate because
for sure.
I think there was the piece that came out last week. Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last week. Our last show we talked about.
It is so blending, and everything's blending together. But yeah, last week the very in-depth piece about Ryan Poles, and it was almost like a hit piece. Like there was just a lot in there regarding Ryan Poles and some of his failures outside of not even just the players and the draft picks like Bayless Jones Jr. Now you got Karan Amagaji, who's just a piss poor performance. And I understand he was not expecting to play this week. And this is his first start against 12-2?
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings team.
Mm-hmm.
About to be 12-2. And I get that. However, it's like, man, a 3rd round pick has to be serviceable, in my opinion. Like, you have to be able to get some reps out there, some good reps on tape. Everything I've seen tonight is just brutal. Outside of just penalties, he's had a few penalties. He's had really, really bad reps.
I think he had 5. It was like, it's a lot.
It's a lot, man. And it's very disappointing. And you can't knock him because he did not draft himself. I understand that. But man, he's got to be upset with Ryan Poles too, because like, he's on the national stage here, Monday Night Football. Like, he may not get another shot. Once the Bears are done with him, I don't think there's gonna be another team, maybe practice squad. But what he's shown on tape, brutal. Like,
luckily,
the best thing
he's
got going for him right now is he's from Yale and he went to Yale, so he's gonna be fine. Post football. But Jesus, dude, it's
luckily
shocking.
He's a rookie, so even if a new organization comes in, I doubt he gets cut. They're not gonna like let the value of a first pick. But yeah, like if this was, I would say like if this is 3rd year and he look like that.
I've seen first rounders be gone at. I mean, they've cut ties with them after.
We saw that with like, normally that's personality issues. We saw it with like a Kadarius Toney. A lot of times it's a lot of those skill position players and they cut them loose. But look, it could happen. You never know. A new GM could come in here and be like, look, you don't fit our system. It could happen. It could happen. So yeah, he did not put up good tape that would convince someone to be like, yeah, I don't have a reason to not let you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Go ahead.
No, to say it's just a lot. There's a lot of unknowns again going into the offseason. Like, who is the head coach? Who is the GM? Right? Like, we go through this cycle way too often, and it's just like they just need to get that right. Because, in my opinion, you can have the best players, but if you don't have the right leaders in there, they're not going to put them in favorable positions, right? Your talent can only take you so far. That's why you see a lot of these times, right? A lot of these teams, that have a lot of talent. You're like, man, why did they not? They should have went further than that. And it happens. You'll see it like year after year, and then they're gone. Prime example was actually the ex-defensive coordinator for the Bears, Brandon Staley, went to the Chargers. You looked at the Chargers roster, even though like by the end of it, half of the whole team would be injured. Year after year, you'd be like, bro, this team is stacked. And they couldn't deliver. Talent can only take you so far. And then you have someone come in like, obviously, Harbaugh, which we all wanted, but everybody wanted. And you see what he does with that roster. Justin Herbert has no receivers, and they're still able to beat they've won 8 games, I think. They're like 8-4. So, again, coaching.
I think they lost yesterday.
Yeah, they might be 8-5. So, yeah, they lost. Even still, you're like, no one's expecting. That's what we were supposed to be with the talent we had. That's what we should have been, and we're not. We're the opposite, and that's why everybody's probably going to be gone after this.
Well, that's another thing. The Bears were supposed to be what the Commanders were, what the Chargers are this year as well. And it all kind of stems to the 4-2 matchup against the Commanders, where it went downhill from there. It really was like that team. That broke this team. I think the Bears, what we're seeing now is I think that they have talent. I just think with the record and where they're at, first of all, they were eliminated from the playoffs yesterday. I know they've probably been eliminated, a couple weeks before, realistically. But as far as percentage go, 0% chance. So no shot at the playoffs. I think you're seeing some players give up. Maybe not like, sell it or like, throw the towel in, but it's like there's a lot of business decisions. There's a lack of effort on several plays. Not every single play, but at the same time, it seems like there's at least one player every single rep that just isn't going 100% or just isn't fully locked in. And I get it. It's hard. It's probably hard to do. Right now you have 3 games left. I don't want to watch them. They probably don't want to play in them. But at the end of the day, this is it. This is where you got to go. You're playing, for your future, for, basically what you're going to put on tape is how you're going to get paid here. And so at the end of the day, it's just going to be a really long 3 games. I'm ready for the offseason. I saw a tweet here. I think it was from a Packers account, which I can't stand it, but it was actually quite funny. And it was like, I think it said basically 4 games left. until the Bears, the Bears are able to basically win or be Super Bowl champs of the offseason once again for like the 6th year in a row. And I was just like, you know what? That might be true, but at least I feel good because in the offseason, I feel good.
Right. There's the hope
It's
still
the
there.
regular season, man. These last 6 years since 2018, I just don't feel good. The season's over typically way before October, December football. And that's what we wanted, Ficky. We're heading into the back in the offseason. We both talked about some of the goals for this year with Caleb Williams being a rookie quarterback, having a team that looked like it was ready to win now, at least compete.
Right.
And we were like, to play meaningful football games in December. Right now it's December 16th, and they just got their ass kicked on national television by a way better team in the Minnesota Vikings. And this is the game that I was like, I hope it matters. And it didn't. And that's what's frustrating. As a fan, we pour a lot of energy, a lot of time into this, in this franchise. I write for the team. I do all this, everything like that. But it's like every single year seems to be the same cycle. And it's frustrating. It's really boring. I know we talked about Robert Smith in the last pod, but it's like there's a lot of people, not just writers, but fans that are like, I'm done. This team I've put too much into it and I'm done. And I understand I'm going to be back here next Sunday watching this team, seeing Caleb Williams, see what he does. And I joked about being done, let me know how the three games go that are left, but I'm going to be here. But it's like, no, the Bears are really taking their fans and they're just whoever roots for this franchise for granted, because it's like 6-7 years, at least recently, where it's just brutal, brutal football. And long before that, there's been several other decades of just bad football, bad franchise, bad management. And it's just, I'm fed up, man.
I was doing some data that I posted about earlier today. And in the past 25 years, so I basically said in 1999, the emoji was invented. Okay. Since that time, the Bears have played in 414 games. They've won 200 and they've lost 214, which is basically like a 48%, right? In that span of 25 years, they've won 3 playoff games. The 3 playoff games. Crazy. So bad. And that counts the season where they went to Super Bowl. So basically the year they went to the Super Bowl, it was basically 06 and 05, I think. Or 06 and 1 year with Jay. Jay won one, and they went to the NFC championship, and then he got injured. So it's not a good team, basically. So I ended it with, to put it in emoji terms, this team is dog poop. So it's unfortunate because I think of I got a friend that lives in Chicago, actually in Chicago, and we game and whatnot. And he texted me tonight. He's like, "Oh, what are you up to tonight?" I was like, "What do you mean am I up to tonight?" He's a Bears fan. I'm like, "The Bears are playing." He's like, "Oh yeah, I've mentally tuned them out the past couple of weeks." I'm like, the fact that you have people in the city that even have the opportunity to do that, I'm not even blaming them. You know what I mean? We had people in the group chat say, "Yeah, I'm not watching the first half. I'm going to go do this instead." I don't even blame you. The fact that you have people at this point, when we talked about these should be meaningful games coming in, what is this? And I think in our group chat, we talked about it. I'm sure you probably feel the same. I felt the same. Normally Monday Night Football, I'm hyped for. I'm pretty hyped and stoked. It did not even feel like a game day. I was just kind of I'm just kind of ready for this to go over because we all knew what was going to happen. Every single one of us knew exactly how this game was going to go. And it did. It went that exact way. And we've, like you said, Dave, we've just seen it over and over and over and over. And that is what is it's really sad. That's what it is. It's not even pissed off or things like that. It's quite depressing. And just I feel bad for people and the time and effort and the money we put into this team, and this is what we get in return.
So real quick, Vic, Ryan Poles was shown a lot on this broadcast, especially in that final fourth quarter with the remaining 5 minutes. He now holds the longest losing streaks in Bears history, the top 2 of them. So 14 games in 2022-2023 season. And now this is number 2 now, 8 games in a row they have lost since the Washington game and counting. So Ryan Poles, man, it's just been a losing era since he's taken over, which is honestly.
What was the one before 13?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 14.
Yeah. It was 14.
Yeah. In 2022, 2023 season. Yep.
You're right, because it spilled over. It was the back half of
yeah.
It was the back half of the second year Fields and then the beginning of year of third year Fields. Yeah, that's not good. Look, we talked about this too, right? When we're talking about head coaches, like they got to learn to win. You got to have a winning culture. You can't, I don't know, you can't be the leader of the organization if you have that many losses, right? I know it's not all tied to him. It's not. There's a lot of blame to go around, but like, is it rejuvenating to maybe bring in someone new? I don't know. I keep going back and forth because the data would say that you need a new GM, but I would look at the moves he would make and I'm like, well, I think you're batting above 500. But is that also like our bar so low that like we're okay with like, oh, you're hitting more than you miss, when in reality it should be like, no, you should be much better than that.
Man, Ryan Poles is a mixed bag because it's hard because, heading into this offseason, we praise the Keenan Allen deal, right? We praise some of these moves. We're like, I was really high on him in the offseason. Heading into week 1, I felt really good. Like he did really good job setting Caleb up in a very, very good situation. I think the biggest downfall, and you said it earlier in the show, Ficky, it has to do with the trenches on both sides. And I'll be honest, Montez Sweat played very, very hard today. A lot of effort. And some are saying he's been injured most of this year and he's playing through a lot of it. I get that. But it's like both offensively and defensively on these lines, the trenches are just so bad. And it makes me wonder his philosophy in building this team. I like what he's done with some of these draft picks, but it's like to build the team outside in. I don't think anybody does that. I don't know any other GM,
do, but not good ones. I feel
that's what I'm saying. As far as like sustainable success, that doesn't make sense to me. And so, and he's in what year? This is year 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
So year 4, I can see where they can. It's like they probably can have a heavy emphasis on both sides of those on the ball inside the trenches. And so I can see this being a year or an offseason where like that's resolved, I guess. And they maybe crack the top 12 as far as like both units go.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like, can you give this guy a pass on what has transpired with his culture that he has built? Because I think that's the most frustrating part. These players that I've, come to really enjoy watching and play for this team, like DJ Moore, completely different player. And now he's been better as far as his body language and his attitude over the last few weeks. But even Jalen Johnson, that I respect, it's like they just look so different. And these are our team captains, leaders on this team. Even Cole Kmet, Chicago kid, growing up here. I mean, everyone just looks like not engaged.
That's what losing does, bro. And it's not
exactly
just losing, and it's consistent. You don't get a break.
Longest losing streaks in Bears history are under his regime. And for me, when it comes to cleaning house, I think Kevin Warren has a really, really task at hand here where it's like, okay, you bring in Ben Johnson. Why not reset the clock with both the GM and the head coach, line them up together where it's at least kind of cohesive. They should have done it with Caleb this year. They had the golden opportunity, but for some reason, it's like, why not just do it now? Okay, I understand Ryan Poles. He probably maybe deserves one more year because GMs typically get 4 years, right?
Yeah.
I think it'd be I think if you look back at history, and I don't have it now, it's like GMs getting fired after the 3rd season. It's kind of rare.
Things have to
right?
go like really.
I feel like it's got to be rare.
Yeah,
they get at least 4 years
because they typically get 2 coaches unless they're just complete dog shit. And Poles isn't complete,
but he hasn't. But that's the thing with Poles. But I think it's such a unique scenario where you're in Chicago, a big market, and Kevin Warren is the wild card here, where I think he could just pull that plug and just reset it. And so,
he could.
Is it fair to Poles? No, but it's a business at the end of the day. And there are very, very good candidates to replace him. and to line it up with a Ben Johnson. And I'm going to leave it here. Ben Johnson it's Ben Johnson or bust for me, in my opinion. Like,
well,
I don't want
looking kind of
I don't want Joe Brady. I didn't want Joe Brady. I don't. I really think Ben Johnson has to be the guy. Just because of offensively with Caleb, I think that has to be the key. I want his scheme. I want what he's bringing.
I agree with you.
I trust him to develop. I do.
Stuff.
I think maybe Joe Brady could be like, you could maybe talk me into that. It's more so I'm talking about defensive head coaches. So like Mike Vrabel, leader of men. I don't want that bullshit. Like, winning cures everything. Winning is leadership. Winning is a lot easier to lead when you're winning.
Just winning.
And so for me, I don't care who. I mean, Coach Vrabel, he can come in here, talk the talk. If the Bears lose, it's gonna be the same story.
100%.
It's gonna be the same
shit,
same film, same season that we've seen in the last.
I just need someone who can win. That's it, bro. That's all that matters at the end of the day, is just come in here and be able to win more than you lose consistently. It's not asking that much. You'll have bad seasons here and there, but just win. Here's a good question, though, kind of tying back to this. Actually, before we do, Gage here with the comment. This is one of our Hall of Fame members on the Patreon. Said, hit that like button, fellas. Bears may suck, but the Big Freaking Rod podcast does not. I appreciate that, Gage. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for hopping in with us on this late night show. I know it's kind of crazy with this team disappointing us again and again. But like Gage said, please give a like and subscribe as well if you haven't done so yet. And if you have done, we appreciate it. Shout out to all our subscribers. Also, if this is your first time here, please give a hashtag New Face Gang. I will make sure to give you a shout out before the end of the show. And if this is not your first time here and you've been here more than once, then you are a true BFR OG. So please give a hashtag OG in the chat, and we will give you a shout out before the end of the show. So please like and subscribe. It is free. As we say here, FGB, which we all know what that stands for, and FTA, which is for the algorithm. So liking, subscribing just helps get the show pushed out to other Bears fans like y'all, so we can have these venting sessions, and then we can have our deep dives in the offseason about Ben Johnson, and we can kind of go deeper into some of these head coach candidates. All right. It is also getting cold. I mean, Christmas is right around the corner, so there is joy coming up here soon. I just want to say that. But the Bears do play here in 6 days, so we might have one more to get through before Christmas comes. But there is hope on the other side. But it is getting cold, so if you want to stay warm this holiday season, go to the BFRstore.com. We have hats, hoodies, beanies, shirts, all different colors. And again, if you don't want to rep the Bears right now because they're so embarrassing, yes, pun intended, you can rep the BFR podcast. And people will understand you're a Bear fan, but you won't get pointed at and laughed at. So if you want to do that, really do appreciate it. All the funds from the show, just from the store, come back into the show just to keep giving you all great content. Also, if you guys want to join our ongoing community, you can join our Patreon. Holy cow, look at this. This play was so long ago. This one, vibes are high against the Panthers. Anyways, we have monthly giveaways, private Zoom calls, and mailbag episodes. Going to be posting the monthly giveaway this week. Sorry, folks. We've been busy from some holiday and travel stuff, but that will be posted this week for our Patreon members. So if you want to be a part of the giveaway, you still have a chance. If you join today or join tomorrow, you have that chance to get win some free merch from us. And also want to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So shout out to our Hall of Fame Grizzly members. We got Michael from the UK. I hope he didn't stay up this late to watch this across the pond, because it'd be like 6 a.m. And gosh, I hope you didn't do that, Michael. And then Gage, who's in the chat active right now. Shout out Gage. Really do appreciate that. It's $10. This is where you get your private Zoom call chats with us. We'll be having one this month as well, near the end, more near January, because I know it's holidays. We want to spend time with family. But you do get a private Zoom call with Dave, Dave, myself, and Jack. I'm losing it. It's so late. Our other co-host producer. Thank you. Jesus. Sorry.
Jack.
Jeez.
Who just had a birthday.
Yeah, Jack did. Shout out to his birthday. But yeah, you do get a live Zoom call with us, which is always fun. We love that. And we get to know each other. So, but also, if you don't want to join the $10 Hall of Fame Grizzly tier, we do have our rookie Grizzly tier. That's $3. That's like less than a cup of coffee. But shout out to our rookie members here with Alex, Brian, Chris, Jason, and Eston. I saw Alex in the chat, so shout out you, Alex. And if a few other ones are in the chat, shout out to you as well. And with that, like I said, You could get in right now $3, and then you could win literally a sweater for the monthly giveaway if that's the one for this month, and then you got a couple months paid for on your end. So we really do appreciate everyone who's joined in there, and you get access to our Discord as well, where Dave and I are on. So if you guys ever have questions, things like that, you can directly get to us, and you can also DM us on Patreon as well, because we answer those. So just a better communication, ways to get to Dave, me, and Jack. And so we appreciate all the support. Whether it is you just liking and subscribing, telling your friends about the show, all of that, the BFR pod does appreciate that, because again, this is the #1 show by the fans for the fans. Again, the #1 show by the fans for the fans. We're sad fans just like y'all after watching this team, frustrated, depressed. So we definitely understand the pain that we're all feeling, but at least we're in this sinking boat together. So I know that's low-winded, but I really do appreciate all the support. So make sure to leave the hashtags in the chat. We'll give you a shout out before the end of the show. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I'm going to go and get to these supers from Tito. First of all, Tito, appreciate it. Celebrating down 20 is wild. Trade Stevenson. Same thing with we were talking about before we actually went live here, Tito, was the Bears special teams got a blocked punt, and they were celebrating. And Ficky said, these guys, this is a chance they get a few chances a game, at least some of them. I know some defensive players are on there as well. But anyways, I just hate the celebrating. Same thing with Stevenson. Yeah, that was –
it's not a good look.
Like if this is a competitive game and the Bears are in it and they're fighting for a playoff spot, like I like that energy. But it's like, really, man? Like, let's just focus on, playing good football, penalty-free football. And then we got another $5 from Tito. Here, blow it all up. This team's situational awareness is so bad. I honestly can't stand Stevenson. He doesn't know when to shut up, and some explicits there, and he sucked. What a downfall from Tyreek Stevenson heading into this offseason or heading into the season. I think we had him as maybe a potential breakout player, because he had a decent year in 2022 or 2023, and now it's like, what? That's what Ryan Poles, some of his picks are just really not aging. They're aging poorly. And
though I might be on the other side here. Maybe I'm the outlier, but I really think the talent's there. I really think like good coaching can get him back on track. Sometimes you see that with players, they have they have a bad year, things don't go well, a lot of mental aspect to it. But they're still talented enough that like the following year they bounce back. I'm not throwing away Stevenson yet, right? Still young, super young. He's got the physical abilities, right? And you still see the flashes, right? You look for the flashes. And so, yes, not a great season. Hard to defend him this season. But I feel like if we start new next year, new regime, he might be able to bounce back. That is a might. Don't Charles Barkley guarantee it, but I think there's enough there that they can make something work. So, but I don't know. Maybe that's me being too optimistic, which is kind of crazy because I feel like there's nothing to be optimistic about. But
I
feel like he could.
I want to shift real quick, Ficky, back to, because as far as like being optimistic, Caleb Williams is obviously a bright spot. He's the future no matter what. At the end of the day, we at least has a few more years to prove kind of what we all believe, that he could be a franchise quarterback. After this game, there's reports that there's a lot of reports right now from a couple of the reporters close to the team right now that they have not seen Caleb this exhausted, this beat up ever, at least throughout this season. And it kind of shows how today, Karan Amagaji, right, starting him, maybe it was supposed to be a redshirt year for him. At the end of the day, this is your depth. This is Braxton Jones coming in here with the concussion symptoms, and then this is what happens. And Caleb, he took a beating today. And so for me, 3 games left. I'm very interested to see how these play out. I know they're not going to, sit him for the final 3. That just doesn't make sense. You want to get him reps, and hopefully, depending how severe the concussion was, we can maybe get Braxton Jones back. But today, Caleb, I don't know if you have the stats. Ficky, did you have it? Or I can pull them up right here. I know it's late.
So before we do, though, just 1 second. Yeah. Michael is watching the show live from UK hats off to you, man. After that, the fact that you stayed up for that game and then came to watch the BFR pod, just shouts to you. I just had to give a shout out because
that's
that's
unreal.
dedication. So
You should go to bed.
Yeah, look, we appreciate
This is gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah, we appreciate the support here,
No.
but get some rest, Michael, please. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
you're good. I just wanted to go. We haven't really talked about Caleb and the game he had today. I went ahead and asked for some comments, which I'm going to share here about what their thoughts overall on Caleb Williams are, not just for this game, but throughout the season so far with these final 3 games left. But today he was 18 to 31, 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 sacks, 86.9 rating. I mean, it's not a great game. It's not flashy. Again, no turnovers. And I know he was close on a pick today, but it's like outside the fumble, he had no interception. Sorry, he had a turnover, but no interceptions once again. And that's a little bit luck. There is luck that goes into it, but I'm very shocked, man. His touchdown interception ratio in May, when we look back at his rookie season and the numbers he had, I mean, it's relatively impressive when you look back at the past rookie quarterbacks that the Bears have had, Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields.
I mean, it's still a successful season.
It's not bad.
Yeah, no, look, he's on pace for at least 3,500. He'll probably get above that. And there's only 3 games left. So unless he has like a crazy tear of interceptions, which is not going to happen, he's going to end up with a pretty decent touchdown to turnover ratio. So macro level, you feel good about your quarterback. But there are some, when you look micro level, there are some games where you're like, that wasn't your best showing. But that's okay. Because we talked about the peaks and valleys, right? And we talked about as long as your peaks and valleys, like the difference between them isn't glaring, right? That's what you want. You want you're going to have valleys, but you want your valleys to be elevated a little bit so your bad games don't look like you've never, knew how to throw a football. So that's what today was. Today was like, okay, Caleb, not a great day. But there were some passes, some plays you're like, oh, come on, Caleb, you need to hit that. Oh, come on. But guess what? There's quarterbacks in the NFL, because the Bears didn't play yesterday, so I got to watch 7 hours free of commercial football. There were some quarterbacks that you watch it and you're like, oh, your bad games are horrific. Like multiple interception games are like, you can't read the field at all, So we've only had like, I think 1 game like that with Caleb where you're like, bro, I think it was earlier on, was like his multiple interception game. I think at 3. So like again, macro level, you take all of that in and you go, okay, I think, or you feel confident that the Bears have someone that gives them the opportunity to be in position to win games or to be a playoff contender, right? So, for first year quarterback, I feel good. Also, he didn't get injured. It's also great to see after getting sacked.
I want to ask you, what makes you nervous about Caleb Williams? And when I say nervous, talking about, then it can't be the Bears franchise. I'm talking about him in general, his play during his rookie season after today. If you were to be like, oh, this is why he's not going to succeed. And I'm not talking, again, we can't say the Bears. That's an easy, like the Bears franchise is going to fail him. We understand that. That's likely going to happen. It's already happening. But do you see anything in his games or in his game right now that there's like a fatal flaw? Or do you think this is just a rookie season, ups and downs? What are your overall thoughts, honest thoughts on Caleb Williams through these?
That's a really good question. So the stuff with reading the field, I don't view that as a concern as much because Troy was talking about it, Aikman, but he's like, look, that's rookie quarterback stuff. Like more times, like you just get more snaps. Like anytime you practice things over and over, you're going to see more defenses, right? You're going to understand concepts more. You're going to know when players get open. You know where your eyes need to go, right? So that I'm not worried so much about. What is concerning, and I think this is because this is more of the surprised aspect of Caleb's game, is his deep ball. And it's not like the balls are, it's hard to tell because it's not like they're so inaccurate. You're like, oh, you're nowhere near. It's almost like you're playing safe on them. So if you miss, it's overthrow, not interception, right? You see it all the time where it's like, okay, he missed on that one. Oh, like even on the close ones, you're like, oh, he overthrew him by like just a yard, right? It's close, but just a yard. And then you see the ones that we talked about right when we hopped on the pod, where he threw the one or right before we hopped on, where he threw that one to Keenan Allen, right, going in the end zone. And we're kind of like, yeah, you just kind of sailed it. You're not giving him a chance. So I think there is something coached in him that is saying, like, don't take the risky play. All right. And I think that's kind of biting him on those risky plays, because like a deep ball is a risky play. That's a high reward, high risk. So it's concerning because you wonder if that's coached and can that be uncoached? And then if it's not coached, what's concerning is, why are you so inaccurate downfield now when that was not an issue of your game? You know?
In college, yeah.
We've seen glimpses of it, right? Like one of his
far and
first
few between.
For sure, 100%.
Which is to your point.
But he's thrown a lot of them. And ever since like the week 4, because remember, a lot of his deep balls were like most of his interceptions, right? Ever since then, all his deep balls are so far overthrown, nobody can catch him. And so that's why it makes me think, I'm like, you're not that inaccurate where you're throwing it that, that far. Like if it's going to be close, right? Like if you're missing, like he had one today where he just missed Keenan Allen going on that fade. Like he just missed him. Those I'm like, okay, that happens. But where I'm like, bro, you're throwing 5 yards
to the end zone. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Now
that
on the right.
was essentially going to be a touchdown.
Yeah. So those ones you're like, okay, that happens. You saw Darnold do that. Like sometimes that just happens, right? Because it is one of the hardest throws to make is a deep ball. But the ones where you're like severely overthrowing, I'm like, it's almost like you're doing, like you said, like the Aaron Rodgers is like, it's your throwaway. It's an attempt, but it's really a throwaway because you're not giving anybody a chance, whether it's offense or defense, to get it. So long-winded answer, but that's kind of like my biggest concern. What about you?
Yeah. Outside the Bears, of course, I think we all know that. But for me, and I want to be honest here about Caleb, because I see a lot of flashes. But the thing that scares me is we saw those even with Mitch. We saw those with Justin. Now, both Mitch and Justin are completely different quarterbacks than Caleb. I understand that. Don't even want to compare them. I'm just saying we've seen flashes before. And with Caleb, I think it's been such an inconsistent year for him. And that has to do with the Bears again. I know we can't factor him in here, but the biggest thing for me that I'm worried about with Caleb is his touch and the way that he is, just the accuracy. Because heading into this year, that was something I wasn't really concerned about. And so for me, we won't know for a couple of years, but it's like, what are the variables? What's really happening with his accuracy? Is it because of the Bears' offensive line? Is he not trusting things? And that's probably it. But it's like, at the same time, could he just not be an accurate quarterback?
Could be too.
Or could he be inconsistent, similar to like Jay Cutler, who is kind of inaccurate? And so for me, and another play to highlight today, I want to stick with this game, was the Keenan Allen. It was in the third quarter, and it was a big third down, and Caleb missed him.
Yeah.
He threw like 100 miles per hour.
Yep.
It went inside, and it looked like Keenan stopped or maybe tried to sit inside the zone, which is weird. He should have kept going. I don't know. And they talked on the sidelines. You saw the cameras cut to it about a minute later, and they were discussing that route. And so I'm sure there was some miscommunication, but for me, it was the touch, which I thought Caleb heading into this year was like, I felt like he had that in his tool bag where he understood kind of how to place the ball. And we've seen it in spurts where he can throw it beautifully, great touch. But at the same time, this ball was 100 miles per hour. Like, why are you throwing it this fast where you could just chest pass Josh Allen, just throw it to Keenan.
Yeah, literally chest pass.
Right. I understand Keenan stopped, but it's like, at the same time, it's like those little moments where I'm like, am I being too critical? Am I looking too much into this? And I probably am. And that's why when it comes to quarterbacks and evaluating, especially Caleb, where the talent's there, you just have to see this thing through in the next couple of years. And that's where we're going to see this growth. And hopefully it's a lot, because Caleb has a long ways to go. Like, there is
first year quarterback
this year. this year there's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of mistakes made.
The fact that he even made it through it, Dave. Like, there were some analysts that were talking about it. I can't remember exactly who, but they're like, the fact that he's gone through as much turmoil, right? You don't want any of this, first off. Let's preface this. But the fact that you've had three different people calling plays, 2 different head coaches, right? You've had Hard Knocks, like all the national media on you. You're the number 1 pick. Like, there's always been lights on you, and you weren't perfect, and maybe you didn't meet expectations, and maybe those expectations were set too high anyways, and maybe you helped set those yourself. But either way, you may have not met those, but you still walk away from a grand level and say, you know what? You were able to have a pretty good, from a Bears perspective, and a great, because you broke all those records. You did what we've never had for a rookie quarterback, a great rookie quarterback season for the Chicago Bears, while also at the same time dealing with all that outside noise, inside noise, and from a talent standpoint, right? You got sacked. I don't even know the number at this point. The most in Bears history, I think. The 3rd most as a rookie quarterback. There's only 2 rookie quarterbacks ever in NFL history that have been sacked more than you. It's David Carr, Derek Carr's older brother, with 72. And then I think it's Bryce Young, literally last year.
Yeah. So David Carr in 2002 had 76 sacks, or he was sacked 76 times. Bryce Young in 2023 was sacked 62. Caleb right now, he was sacked 2 more times today, so he's at 58. And then Tim Couch in 1999 had 56. So Caleb is 3rd all time. And they were all, actually, the funny thing is they're all of them were number 1 overall picks. So
yeah, because you go to the well, that's weird because technically it's not the worst team, but
yeah, I will say this though. The one thing I think everyone was wrong, and I'm going to admit, I'll just speak for me. I thought Caleb was in the best situation any number 1 overall pick had ever been in. But when you take into account, which we did not, the coaching and how terrible it was and is, and the amount of change that has gone on just in Caleb's world in regards to play caller, Thomas Brown, Flus is gone. It's Shane's gone. Almost forgot about that. I was so wrong, because this is just it is a crap show. It is a crap show. It is disappointing. It's embarrassing. I think who had it? Jason Kelsey at halftime said, basically put the Bears on blast, saying like, the Bears, they got to show something. They got to show that they can at least be an NFL franchise. And that's not word for word, but I'm paraphrasing there.
Yeah,
so
I mean, kind of spot on.
But it's so true, man. It's so true. Everyone else is catching up, but this is what we've seen for several years now.
Yeah, coaching, I think we knew was bad, but there's always like new hope when you get an offensive coordinator. Like, I thought Shane was going to be average, because that's what he was. He was at least above average in Seattle. So, like, to come in here and be as bad as you are, based off the information that we have publicly, right? We didn't hear more things till players came out, but I'm going off your tenure and your history, and you were good enough with a decent weapons on that end. The biggest thing I think we didn't account for was how, like, we knew the offensive line was not the best, but we figured it was much better, and that was not the case. This offensive line, and I know Fields is gone, so a lot of the rushing yards went to them. But if you were to look at the run game, went to him. But if you look at the run game numbers of last year, like, take away passing, which is harder to do, but just run blocking, they have not performed up to par. They've gotten worse in the run game, and they already weren't great in the pass game. And so now that's equated to this season that we fucking had. It's not great. So
3 more games. 3 more games. We'll get through it. Very, very disappointing.
It is.
I want to ask you, do you want to save our voicemails for
I feel like we could probably knock, because I feel like there's some people probably been waiting to hear them at the end, because I know we got some people in this chat. So maybe,
how many do we have?
I mean, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's up to you.
No, yeah. Well, let's play him through. We won't maybe comment as much as we do, but let's go ahead and we'll listen to him. We'll comment here and there if we need to. And then we'll get to our shout outs and then we'll go ahead and end the show here. I know it's late. And then we'll be back really quick later in the week to kind of finish up, preview the next game. Talk about maybe some other things that are going on. There's a Jalen Johnson comment here. Apparently his C was missing on his jersey tonight.
I saw that.
And he's not happy. So anyways, let's get to these voicemails and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the show. So appreciate you all sending them in.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate everybody sending them. You guys are fantastic. I see some of you on the chat right now too. But to start off, there's one that was sent in before the game. Everything else will be during or post. So we'll start with Phil, OG, very active in the chat today. We'll start with your first one here before game and then we'll move on.
All right, I don't blame y'all if you don't put this on your podcast, but fuck Green Bay fans. They can all go to hell. They're all spoiled little bitches, and they don't know what it's like to be Bears fans, to have fucking hope in spite of themselves. And this is all over fucking Twitter because someone's stunting on us from Green Bay because we got eliminated from the playoffs today. And they want to be little fucking pussies and dance on that because they can't dance on a fucking playoff victory. They don't know what it's like. They can't go to fucking San Francisco and win a goddamn game. Oh, my God. Hashtag fucking Colin Kaepernick, you fucking dipshits. Oh, fuck Green Bay.
I was not expecting that. Oh, it's my bad. I was not expecting a Green Bay rant, but we appreciate that.
Hey, man.
Right, let's go to Ian next.
Hey, Ficky, Dave, and Jack. I just had a quick question for you guys. I saw you guys. I was on last week, and you guys said no to Vrabel, which I understand. It's either Ben Johnson or Vrabel at this point. I could be fine with either one. I just want a culture change. That's all. But I like that you want Drew Dahlman as a free agent pickup at center. I think that would be perfect. He's 26. Get him for the same amount of money as Shelton. Lock him up. I think he's been really good for the Falcons this year. He's a free agent. So, yeah, I think let's go give him the boat on that. But you know what? Fix the offensive line for sure. I like everything that you're looking at, Ficky. So keep it up, guys. Look forward to keeping up with the content, guys. And there's greener pastures ahead, man. It's going to be better. Not this year, but, hey, the season's almost over. Get ready for the offseason and the draft. That's what we always do every year. But, hey, it's going to be different. I believe it's going to be different this year or after this year. I believe it. So, thanks, guys. Have a good night and go Bears.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, appreciate it. Yep. We got a big off, like we said every year. We got big off season. Let's go to Caleb next.
Never draft a Hinzel Central player again. Doug Kramer and Kurama Magaji have been absolutely horrible this season. Obviously, Kuran has a little bit more upside, but after tonight, I really don't see how he has any potential.
Wasn't great for our boy Karan, so thank you for that, Caleb.
I think he's gone for this offseason. I don't think, especially if there's a new GM, I think he may lose his spot. It'll be a training camp battle, perhaps, but I think he's going to lose it. But that's just me, and that's maybe hot take right now.
No,
what I just witnessed.
After he played today, look, you're only as good as your recent tape, so it wasn't good at all.
Let's go. Didn't look like he belonged.
No, it did not. At least at that position. Maybe bump him to guard or something, but.
Hey guys, it's Judd Stark, Stark Music. Once again, appreciate all you do. Appreciate you guys, suffering with us together, as I've always said. So, yeah, the game's not even over yet, but I mean, what even is there to say anymore, man? It's just bad. I mean, I think what's crazy is that I feel like it's been a theme all this season, like where it just, when you think it can't get any worse, it just continues. And, with the report about polls in the Chicago Tribune this week, that was bad enough. And I feel like that's honestly set the tone in a way. I know it's not directly related to any of the players, but yeah, it's bad. And even Caleb tonight, man, I feel like he's running around for his life and just not he's playing scared, kind of like how he was at the beginning of the season before he was kind of starting to let it rip. And yeah, I don't know, man. I'm kind of numb at this point to this team. It's just so funny. Like, I feel like watching like the last 2 minutes of the last Hard Knocks episode and comparing it to this is just crazy now. But yeah. I don't even want to say go Bears, but go Bears. Thank you guys again for covering. And sorry, we still have a few games left. Maybe some things will turn around with Caleb and look a little better. But other than that, there's just nothing to look forward to in this season. So
Appreciate that.
Yeah, numb is
That's a good one.
Exactly how I feel. That's exactly it. So thank you. Let's go to domain expansion here.
Yeah, I think this team is actually cursed. I'm actually convinced at this point. This team is cursed. There's no other explanation. Bear down.
Bear down.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's go to our Hall of Fame Grizzly Patreon member, Gage here.
Let's see her Gage.
I don't know if I can watch another Bears game this season. I'm so done. I'm so done watching Caleb Williams get the crap beat out of him. I'm over it. I guess at least our draft stock keeps going up. But bear down, I guess. Fuck this current team.
I will say this: there's been 3 of them so far where people are like, should I say bear down? They still do it, but deep down you don't want to.
You just don't want to, yeah.
No,
yeah,
I feel that. But let's go to Phil again. This is during the game, so I don't think it'll compare it to the Green Bay one, but we'll see.
Maybe.
Yo, what up, y'all? This is Phil, and I'm on the podcast with Rashab, Nick, and Steven, and I just want to say that this fucking sucks. You guys have anything to add?
I second that. Go ahead, Nick. I was just gonna say, Ficky, Dave, Jack, love you guys.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for still making content during this horrible fucking season. I've reached my limit at this point.
Shout out to both of you guys, Dave, Ficky. Listen, happy holidays to both of you guys, and Rashab and I would love to have you guys back on again to do a live stream. Hopefully, once the season is over, and we'll have a better idea who the fuck the coach is and where the draft picks are and everything, and stuff like that. So,
yeah, I mean, thank you guys for doing the fucking show that you're about to do. Pretty rough after this kind of game. Yeah, this fucking sucks, dude. Bear down. I don't want to go too crazy because I already left them a Green Bay voicemail where I went crazy about Green Bay. So, but yeah, fuck them, by the way. But yeah, man, this sucks. I don't really know what else to say. We're fucking trash. Next season will be better though. Bear down.
Love the bear down. First off, we'll go to the rest of these here. Shout out to all of those content creators. Steven, give him a follow. Nick Whalen, give him a follow as well. Yeah. You got Rashab, who's the Windy City Productions. Give him a follow. And then obviously you guys know the OG Phil, who's in the chat. So you guys interact with him. But all of those guys do great work. They just had a live stream tonight. I think it was on the AA podcast, I believe. And I think it's up on their Twitter. So make sure you guys give a shout to them. And then shout out to them also. Live streaming, it's hard when you're watching it live because you can't hold back. Like, at least we get a second to kind of figure out our emotions here. But live would be tough. So, but shout out to all of you guys. You guys are great. So, not enough Bears content creators to go around. Good ones, anyways.
Yeah,
so.
That was cool. Appreciate y'all. We'll definitely have to do the double or the live stream with y'all. Definitely in the off season. Cannot do it for these final 3 games. Just don't want to.
I'm sorry. I can't.
But the off season is going to be way more positive. It's going to be better. And we'll not just do one. We'll do a couple throughout the off season because it's a long one. So appreciate y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We got 3 here to finish up. We're going to go with Mike, Marcus, and then Angie. So Mike.
Hey guys. Love the pod. I hate this team. Karan is awful. I don't care if he's a rookie. Cut him by midnight. Smartest guy on the field, and he is getting thrown around by everyone. He's getting his quarterback killed. Caleb, I don't know what he's even doing. He's magical. It's not like he's getting it done, but he looks cool as shit while not getting it done. It baffles me that he can throw the absolute dart to Keenan in the end zone and he can't hit the lob pass 20 yards down the field to a wide open man. He'll figure it out, though. I don't care. Who cares? He'll figure it out. He's going to be amazing. Not a coach in this world could ruin that kid. Speaking of coaches, go get Kyle Shanahan. $30 million, $50 million. They're billionaires. They're literally billionaires. Pay the man $100 million. I couldn't care less. It's not like it hits the cap. I'm sorry. I went on a rant there. I'm good. Love the pod. Keep it up. That's all I got to say.
Pay the man. I'm with you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
One.
Yeah, sorry. We'll go to Marcus here next.
I think this team is absolutely worse than the 3-14 team from 2 years ago. It is just miserable watching them every week. They've all forgotten how to play football. Caleb Williams looks bad, and his O-line is not helping him at all. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Roma Dunze, they're doing their best, but Caleb can barely get the ball to them either because he just doesn't see that they're wide open, or he's getting sacked before he even has a chance. So, there's this is it's just miserable, and it's at this point like Ryan Poles has to go. He's not good. He lucked into Caleb Williams, but the rest of his decisions as a GM have been terrible. DeAndre Swift, he's had some good games, but he was not a good signing for us. Torrey Taylor, he's a beast. I love him, but drafting a punter in the 4th round when we obviously needed help at O-line was the wrong decision. So Ryan Poles has to go. We need a GM that can actually evaluate O-line and actually protect our quarterback, because our current one obviously doesn't know how to do it. So, yeah.
Oh, you're not wrong. Torrey Taylor is a beast, though. We appreciate that, but yeah, you're not wrong there. All right, and the final one, we'll end it here with Angie.
So last week, you guys disagreed with me about the karma, and this is what the Bears get for trading Justin Fields the way they did. But this week, I'm going to tell you how ass the Bears are. I normally don't talk like this, but I am so sick of watching this train wreck of a team. I have been a loyal Bears fan living in Texas since I was a little girl. I watched the 85 Bears win the Super Bowl. And for me to watch this disappointing team and all these people hype the team up this year, we're going to win, we're going to go to the playoffs. It is such BS. I can't even believe it. And then you guys all feel sorry for Caleb Williams. This was the same team. He even has a better team than what we had last year. And they're still doing shit. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I am sick and tired year after year with everybody looking at me with like, oh, sorry. And all these Dallas Cowboy fans, at least they're losing this year. At least I can say that to my husband, who is a avid Cowboys fan. But to watch the Bears year after year after year lose is truly, truly disheartening. I can't even believe it. I mean,
Oh, cut off. She must have let go of the button. But I mean, look, Andrew, you're not wrong. The one thing that's consistent, though, which maybe this was the outlier or the common denominator, was the coaching last year was the same coaching this year. So if that was that bad last year and the year before, it was also that bad this year. So you're hoping, right? Obviously, there's some upgrades we'll make in the offseason, but you're hoping that was the main X factor on that. But
we'll see, man.
That's a lot of hope. It's a lot of hope they're putting out there. So I know we always have high expectations. Well, maybe not high. We always have like higher expectations of what actually happens. So, but
yeah, same old. Hey, I'm ready for the offseason. With 3 games left, maybe we can see some growth, see some flashes, more flashes out of Caleb. Hopefully everyone stays healthy for the most part. But yeah, wrap up these 3 games. maybe feel a little bit better by yourself. But the draft is going to be interesting. The offseason is going to be fun. And next year cannot be worse. Like I think that's fair to say. I don't think it can be worse.
Clip that. When next year we're 2-50. No, I'm just
Ben
kidding.
Johnson fired after 9 games as a head coach. Could you imagine? All right,
dude, I would. No, I could not. That episode would go crazy though. But yeah, I could not. Before we go though, I want to go ahead and give the shout outs here. So we do have Giovanni on YouTube. He's a true OG. We got the hashtag OG there. Domain expansion. Thank you for the voicemail. That was great. Hashtag OG. We got Phil in here with the hashtag OG. I love you guys. Love you as well. Thank you for the voicemail. Then we got Gage in here with the hashtag OG. Thank you, Gage, a Hall of Fame Grizzly member right there. And then we got Thomas Whitty with the hashtag OG. Bear down still. Oh, someone said it confidently. We like that. We got Mitch in here on YouTube, said hashtag OG, hashtag BFR. Y'all are the real MVPs. We really appreciate it, but it's really y'all that are the MVPs. We're the good coach. Y'all are the skilled players. That's what it is. And then we got Tito here with the hashtag OG. Appreciate that. I want to throw this one on there because people were really giving a shout out to Tito through the chats. But Ethan here said hashtag Tito 2028. I know Tito's Tito and Ethan are both OGs in here, so appreciate that. And then Eduardo, who still my favorite Avi to this day, is because that's me. That's me after the first quarter of every Bears game, where we scored 0 points, and I'm just looking like, really? I decided to watch this game and expect different results. But hashtag OG. Imagine what the roster would look like if it wasn't for Lovie Smith. That is, yes. Shout out the last great Bears head coach, the only great head coach I ever saw in my lifetime. Lovie Smith, who got us Caleb Williams. I will never disrespect the Lovie Smith name in any sort of fashion. So, and then we got a couple more coming in here, so I'll just give these a shout out. And then we got Plastic Rockets here, hashtag OG, and then hashtag Skull Chant Whack. You know what? I'm not gonna lie, Skull Chant. I mean, when you're winning, it's kind of epic. You know what I mean? When they do the horn in there and whatnot.
No, dude, it's. Are you kidding me? Yeah, it's one of the best in the NFL. I know they've took it, or at least used it from, I think, the Iceland soccer games, but yeah, it's legit. It's up there, best in the league. Cool atmosphere.
Sure. I still remember when Stephon Diggs, the Minneapolis Miracle, got that tip and ran it and then did that. That place was wild. And I think the last one here is from Isaac Everett, who is a true OG, but the hashtag OG. So I think that is it.
Well, that will wrap up a Monday night live stream. So I think that's the last one of the year as far as the late night stream go, unless something gets flexed.
Do we have a Thursday night game?
Yeah, maybe.
I think we have one. Oh gosh.
Well, if we do, we'll figure it out. 3 games left. We appreciate the support. Again, hit that like button, sub, rate the pod on Apple, Spotify. We appreciate y'all. We'll be back later this week to preview the game and talk about the Bears, like we always do. So appreciate y'all and see you soon. Bear down.
Peace.